Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Transformers Robot Enhanced Design Optimus Prime. And if you're not familiar with these, what we have here is a brand new line by Hasbro of non-transforming Transformers. And I know that a lot of people are against that just based off of principle. They want their Transformers to transform, and I get that. I totally understand that, especially for the old school fans that loved these figures back when they were kids. I understand that they want them to transform. But for me personally, that's the one thing I kind of dislike about Transformers. I don't like the fact that they transform. I feel like the sacrifices that are made to the overall look and the articulation for the sake of the transformation just aren't worth it. So that's something that's always kept me away from Transformers figures. But lately, I recently got interested in all the characters, and I want like good action figures of them. But, you know, a lot of the figures out there they don't really suit my taste because of the transformation. But luckily Hasbro came along and announced this awesome new line of non-transforming action figures, and I feel like they made these damn things just for me, so I'm very excited. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the packaging. First off, I will say right off the bat, these figures are a lot smaller than I was expecting. As you can see here, the box is tiny, but it does look really cool. We are able to see Optimus Prime. Right here we have some really nice Optimus artwork. Here it says Transformers. And then on the side of the box is where we're able to see all the accessories. So I think that is kind of cool. And then on the back of the box, we get a look at Optimus doing all kinds of cool stuff. It shows him like posed up with his accessories and everything. So that looks good. And yeah, the box is collector friendly, just like most Hasbro products. And I do think the figure looks really cool in there. But enough about the box. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. All right, so here we have Optimus Prime right out of the box. And I went ahead and got him ready for battle and decked him out with a bunch of his accessories. And I gotta say, I think this thing is pretty cool. He does have some flaws. He's far from perfect, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. But let's go ahead and talk about the flaws before we get into the good stuff. There's two things about this figure that I was a little disappointed in. The first would be the fact that he has no type of ab crunch or anything like that. All we have is a waist swivel. I do wish they were able to fit like a torso crunch or maybe like a ball joint at the waist or something to get a little bit of movement out of the torso, but all we have is the waist swivel. And I mean, to me, it kind of seems like they could have hidden an ab crunch around the grill here, kind of like the Revoltech figure did. But at the same time, it seems like that might have been impossible because they did include the gimmick where his chest opens up and you're able to see the matrix of leadership. So maybe that's the reason why they couldn't fit an ab crunch in there. So, I mean, I get it. There's a trade-off, so it is what it is. And I do like this gimmick, so that is cool. But I think I might have preferred a ab crunch. But yeah, so that's one thing that kind of disappointed me. And the other thing is that the colors aren't as bright and eye-catching and vibrant as they should be, especially the reds. The reds do look like a little flat, so I do wish the paint was a little bit better, a little bit more cartoon accurate. But as it is, I mean, it definitely looks G1, you know. Obviously, there's no mistake about it. This is G1 Optimus Prime. I just wish that the reds on the figure were more accurate to the cartoon. Everything else looks okay. It's just that the red looks a little bit flat, but you know, the red is the most eye-catching part, so that should be like the most vibrant. So that's another thing that I was a little disappointed in. But aside from those two things about this figure, I like this thing a lot. I think it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool to have a Optimus Prime that is articulated. I don't have to worry about kibble. I don't have to worry about like things breaking. I have other non-transforming Optimus Prime figures like the Revoltech one, but I'm always scared that I'm going to break his, what are they called, like his antenna or whatever. On this figure, it's soft, so I don't have to worry about it. The smokestacks are soft, even though they're like less detailed. Still, I don't have to worry about breaking them. I could just play with this figure, take it with me places, do all kinds of good stuff. But yeah, look at him. He looks awesome. I mean, who could hate on that? I get that people don't like the size and stuff, but that's Optimus Prime, man. That's like perfect G1 Optimus Prime. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at all the awesome details on this figure. And the sculpting work on Optimus Prime is pretty well done, but I do wish there was a little bit more paint to bring it all out. As you can see here on the faceplate, and I guess you could call it like his robot skin, whatever that is surrounding the eyes. It's pretty much the same color as the faceplate, so it all just kind of blends in together. I think this would have looked a lot better if the faceplate was painted silver or with like a metallic gray. I think that would have looked dope. The color for the robot skin is perfectly fine, but the fact that it's the same color as the faceplate, you know, it just kind of looks a little plain and the details kind of get lost. The eyes do look nice though. I like the blue they used for the eyes. And the head sculpt looks good. I do like it. And as I mentioned before, these are soft, so you don't have to worry about them breaking, which is a huge plus. And it would have been nice if this thing on his forehead was painted silver as well. But the head sculpt is nice. It just needs a little bit of paint to make it look a little better. So I might have to hit that up. We'll see. But moving down into the body here, all the details on the body do look very good. Right here we have the Autobots logo sculpted in, which is nice. Then we have these smokestacks here. They don't have a lot of detail on them. I do kind of wish that maybe there was like the exhaust holes or whatever those holes are that are usually on these things. I think that would have looked a little bit better. And as you can see here, this one is a little warped. But again, it's soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about it breaking. So I like that a lot. And then let's go ahead and open up his windshield things here. These are really hard to open up. There we go. So you're able to open up his chest, and then you can see the matrix of leadership. And this is removable. And you can see there's some sculpted details in there. But again, not a whole lot of paint, so it is what it is. And this thing is kind of hard to get into the right spot, but once you get it in there, it won't move. So that does look nice. It's very well sculpted too. There we go. And then moving down here, we have the grill. And the grill has a metallic look to it, so I really wish they would have put that onto the face too. Oh well. The grill looks nice. Then we have some yellow down here. We have some sculpted details in the legs and on the lower legs. That all looks nice. Let's check out the arms. The arms have some sculpted details in there too. And yeah, you know, G1 Optimus Prime has a pretty simple look. It's very smooth and blocky. Not a whole lot of crazy sculpted details required, so I think this guy has the appropriate amount of sculpting work on him. On the back we have some more lines and a bunch of good stuff going on. So, but yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with the sculpt. Everything is very well sculpted. I just really wish that he had a little bit more paint to him so that that sculpt could have stood out a little bit more. But as it is, I'm pretty happy with the way the figure looks. And Optimus Prime does come with some pretty cool accessories, including multiple sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of open hands. And then only for his right side, he has a pointer finger. And then he also has a gun gripping hand, which is also only for his right side. He doesn't have either one of those two hands for his left side, so I thought that was kind of strange. And of course, he comes with his iconic Optimus Prime blaster, and as you can see, he has no problem holding it. He has a very tight grip on it, so you don't have to worry about it falling out or anything like that. But the blaster does look nice. We do have some sculpted details on there. Not a whole lot of color, but it's basically just black and then a little bit of gray at the end here. But it looks good. Same thing going on the opposite side. Got like a little clip or a magazine looking thing sculpted in there. That's interesting. And then he does come with his Energon axe. And the Energon axe is really dope. I'm very happy that he came with this. And this just plugs right into his hand, just like, or into his forearm, just like one of his hands. And there's even like a little hinge on there so you could swivel it around if you want. But yeah, this axe looks awesome. And now for some quick size comparisons, we have the R.E.D. Optimus Prime alongside the Earthrise Optimus and the Siege 25th Anniversary Optimus. And as you can see, this new one is very small, and I think that's going to be very disappointing to a lot of people because they're going to want to put this Optimus Prime figure along with their Siege figures or other lines or whatever. But for me, that doesn't really concern me. I don't care how he scales with figures in other lines. It's always cool to mix up different lines and things like that, but with this figure in particular, it's not going to work putting him with Siege figures because they're going to clash stylistically regardless of the scale. So even if the scale was perfect, they would still look off because this guy's too streamlined, no kibble, no gaps, nothing like that. And you put a Siege figure with them, they're going to have all that stuff. So they're going to clash and look a little bit weird even if they looked exactly in scale with each other. So I don't understand the big uproar with the fact that these guys don't fit with Siege figures. It doesn't make any sense to me. As long as he fits in good with other figures in his line, then we should be good to go, right? But, you know, I know that a lot of people aren't going to agree with me with that opinion, but that's what I think. So I don't really care how he looks next to Siege figures as far as scale goes. I will say, though, I do wish that this R.E.D. Optimus Prime was the same colors as this 25th anniversary one. I think that would have been super dope. And maybe one day they'll do a repaint of this one in this cool, like, animated style. I think that would be freaking amazing. Hopefully they do that one of these days. And then next up we have Optimus alongside the Earthrise Wheeljack and the Siege Cliff Jumper. And as far as scale goes, I think, you know, this could kind of work in my opinion. So if you take some of the smaller Siege figures, you could definitely fit them in with Optimus. But, you know, as you can see, it just, stylistically, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. They just look way too different. But, you know, I would love to see a R.E.D. Wheeljack and also an R.E.D. Cliff Jumper or Bumblebee. But I'm curious, like, how small they would be, you know? They'd be, like, tiny. I would like to see a R.E.D. Cliff Jumper that's about this size. I think that still kind of works with Optimus. I could be wrong. I'm not like a scale expert when it comes to Transformers figures because it seems like it's inconsistent. But anyways, as far as scale goes, this kind of works if this is something that you want to do. And here we have Optimus alongside the Siege Megatron and the Earthrise Starscream. And yeah, look at them. They look like monsters next to him. They look like they're about to take his lunch money. And then now here we have him alongside the Revoltech Optimus Prime and the Flame Toys Optimus Prime. And as you can see, he's about the same size as the Revoltech one. So if they ever come out with some more figures in that line, you could probably mix them up with figures from this red line. And then now just to show him with a bunch of random stuff, here we have him alongside the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Duke and G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes. And man, I wasn't really expecting him to be so much smaller than these G.I. Joe figures. That's pretty hilarious. And then next up we have him alongside the Black Series Boba Fett and the Lightning Collection Red Ranger. And then here he is alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. Here we have him alongside the Masterpiece Soundwave and the Siege Soundwave. And here we have Optimus Prime alongside the Diamond Select Iron Giant and the 1000 Toys Iron Giant. And I was kind of hoping that I was able to do some team up action between the 1000 Toys and the R.E.D. figure, but it looks like he's even too small for that. And now for the final size comparison, and honestly this is really the only size comparison that matters out of all these that we just went through. Here we have Optimus Prime alongside the R.E.D. Soundwave, and as you can see, they look awesome together. I can't wait to get Megatron. I really hope that he scales well with these guys too, but so far these two look really good together. And now for the articulation. Initially, I felt a little disappointed because there's less going on here than I expected. But after messing around with it for a while, I think I'm pretty happy with the articulation. Aside from the one thing that I mentioned earlier, I think for the most part, there's some good stuff going on here. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the head. The head is on a little ball joint, so it does move side to side. It does have some pretty nice tilt to it. He could look up to about right there, which isn't too bad. And then he could look down to right there. And it does kind of shift around because it's on like a double ball joint thing. So some pretty nice movement at the head. As I mentioned before, the torso does not have any type of ab crunch or anything like that, but he does have a waist swivel. And then for the arms, they do go all the way around. You could bring his arm up a really nice amount. So that's awesome. He doesn't have any type of butterfly joint or anything like that. But yeah, I think he gets some pretty good movement. I imagine it's really hard to figure out articulation on Optimus Prime's arms because he's got his big crazy shoulders. But I think they did a good job here. Some type of butterfly joint would have been appreciated though. And then we do have upper bicep swivel. He's got single jointed elbows that get about 90, which I wasn't expecting that. I thought they'd put double jointed elbows in here somehow, but again, originally I'm like, oh man, but then after posing them up and messing with them, I'm like, oh, that's fine. And then for the hands, we do have a swivel and a hinge. The legs do come out to the side to about right there. He could kick forward only to about right there. Could bring his leg back to right there. And then he does have an upper thigh swivel. This upper thigh swivel is a little annoying because it's right there, like right where like all this would be straight, and then you move it and then it kind of looks all chopped up. So I wish they would have maybe put it higher. I'm not too sure how they could have done it, you know, but it is what it is. It does have the upper thigh swivel. He does have double jointed knees. Bam, look at that. And then at the foot, we've got a little ball joint again, which gets a little side to side, but it's blocked by the sculpt. Goes forward to about right there, which isn't too bad at all. It only comes up to about right there, and it does rock side to side. But again, the sculpt is kind of hindering it. But, you know, it gets enough movement to be useful. So that's good. And yeah, like I said, there's a little less going on than I thought this line would have. But you could still pose them and have a lot of fun with them. So I like it. I like the articulation. I'm having fun messing around with it. And hopefully in future iterations of this style of Optimus Prime, hopefully they kind of learn what they could improve on and do a little bit better with the articulation. But yeah, he's definitely, the main thing is he's fun to play with. I'm having a lot of fun just messing around with it and fiddling with it and just doing stuff, you know? Even though I can't get the most dynamic poses, I'm having fun trying, and I think that's kind of one of the most important things. Alright, so even though I'm not as crazy about this figure as I thought I would be, I still like it a lot and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I find that the more time that I spend with this guy, the more I like it. When I first pulled it out of the box, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. But after a couple of days of playing around with it and posing it, I'm like, man, I actually like this thing a lot, and I do feel like Hasbro's off to a pretty good start with this line, but there's definitely room for some improvement. It would be nice that in the future, if they put out more Optimus Prime figures in this line, that they found a way to give them some type of torso articulation. I know that they kind of sacrificed that because of the Matrix of Leadership gimmick, or I think that's what happened. It seems like that's the case, and I get it because the whole Matrix of Leadership thing is very important to Optimus Prime as a character, so I understand, but it would be nice if they were able to have that and somehow incorporate some type of torso articulation. But honestly, I could live with this articulation setup. That's not really a huge concern for me. It's just something that would be nice if they were able to figure that out. The one thing that is a concern is the colors and the paint. I really think they need to focus on that and do better in the future, because the red on this figure looks very muted. It doesn't look as vibrant and colorful and cartoony as I would like. I mean, I don't hate it. It's not like it looks like trash or anything, but I just think that's something that they need to do better in the future. They got to make them look like G1, very bright and cartoon looking. Hopefully if they give us more Optimus Primes in this line, then they're able to address that. But you know, those are little flaws, and overall I like this thing a lot. The articulation is pretty good. I think the accessories are great. He pretty much comes with everything that you'd want from an Optimus Prime figure, so that is dope. And like I said, he's just fun to play with. That's my main thing here. I'm having fun playing with this, and that's why I'm able to enjoy it so much. I know some people are going to find things they dislike about it and kind of, you know, just ignore it, and that's okay. If this isn't for you, it isn't for you. But personally, I would say I'm about 75% satisfied with this. If the colors were bright red, I'd be damn near 100, to be honest. Like, that's really the big flaw with this guy. So, like I said, hopefully they fix that in the future. But yeah, I like this thing a lot, and I'm definitely gonna continue to buy these figures and support this line, and hopefully they're able to give us more G1 stuff. PulseCon just passed, and they announced a couple of new figures for the line, but they're kind of going all over the place. They're giving us RC from Transformers Prime, which is cool. I know a lot of people are, you know, fans of that show, so that's okay. And they're also giving us Cheetor from Beast Wars, and I'm pretty excited about that figure. I'm probably going to buy both of those. Cheetor, I'm like, yeah, I've been wanting a good articulated Cheetor, and, you know, that one's cool and everything, but I would have preferred if they just stuck with G1 for a while, gave us a bunch of those characters, and then kind of moved on to like other different versions and stuff, because there's so many different versions of Transformers, they could go crazy. But it would have been nice if they knocked out the G1 stuff first, but it looks like they're gonna mix it up, and that's okay as long as eventually they give me a damn Springer. But anyways, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.